We in this thing.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your man, Hunter Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm fempreneur extraordinaire and tech diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the crossroads where there's only one rule.
Be free to be you.
What up?
Hey, surprise!
Wait a minute. my, my daddy just texted me.
Uh-oh.
I was like, I said we going live. He was like, I'm coming in hot.
Hey,
He don't know he coming in hot in the comments.
Dad. Dang,
You right. You can come any way you want in the in the
that's
comments.
funny.
That's a censorship. I'm actually getting these links together. How you doing? How was your week, even though it's been less than a week since we've talked?
Yeah, I was like, so far, so good. Back in the swing of things or trying to get back into the swing after being off for a couple of weeks. And,
Hmm.
that's been it's a little challenging
Hmm.
slightly because I already kind of suffer from letting go of things and stepping away
Right.
because I'm always thinking about what is it going to look like when I get back, or are things going to fall apart. And so, even though things did not fall apart, thank
Hmm.
God, there's still this like anxious feeling about resuming, you know,
Mm. Yeah.
or trying
Well.
to catch up, or what's been happening since I've been gone, or going
Oh
through
yeah.
emails, like all of that
Hmm.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely, yeah. That's you. All
And
that.
meanwhile, other people could give a damn.
Uh-huh.
Hey, thank you. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Well, I
For
feel like
for
it's your dad. I feel like everybody's dad. I'm like,
right.
ooh,
Yeah.
hold on.
It's first of all, it's your. I'm gonna be the grammar police.
Oh Lord,
And
I
for
know
those
what he
those
meant.
who don't know, this is my father who is commenting. First, y'all, let me tell you how hilarious this man is. And you know what? I'm gonna wait until we get into the topic because
Yes, yes.
I think. Listen,
I think we got to run back the whole conversation about birth certificates.
okay,
But we can do that a little later.
all
But
right, yeah. I
oh
s-
look,
I
help
swear
me
to
find a
God.
good wife. We talked about that on live last week,
Mhm.
right? We talked about reasons why. Well, you asked us to give you reasons why you should get married, and I
Uh-huh.
said I don't think there's a should. If in your heart of hearts you are not looking for that, or that's not something that you want, and or you have not found the person that you want to commit to like that, then chill out.
Yeah.
But there are some beautiful things. I mean, I've only been here for 10 days, but there are some beautiful things about, marriage and committed
Oh yeah, I'm
long-term
sure.
relationships. And, I want you to see that and embrace that. I know you are very keen on the things that could go wrong, but I want you to consider the
It's
things that can go
no,
well.
no, no. It's not even about so much the things that can go wrong. It's just I gotta find somebody who I can tolerate more than a couple hours at a time. Like I reach my social limit fairly quickly.
Yeah, I
um,
get it.
yeah, no, but really at the end of the day, I don't discourage marriage. I don't, and I'm not averse to it. It's just more about finding the right person that I'm going to share my life with.
Hmm.
Um, so many people, like I said, so many people rush into it and end
Yeah.
up in situations like the one we're going to discuss tonight.
Hmm.
um, and everything else. So it's like my patience is both a gift and a curse sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so it's just I'm not in a rush because I want it to be right. My daddy is on. I guess he said he's coming there hot, and you see with his last comment.
Oh yeah, there we'll share with others.
Listen, I swear if
That's
I
it. Get Barzini a wife so he can stop being a pain in his butt.
as if the
I'm like, I don't
question.
know if that's gonna stop though.
No, I'm gonna call him more like I don't know why he thinks that that's,
Oh, he telling your
but
age and
yeah,
everything.
we ain't
I
posting
won't
that
put
one.
that one. I won't do
Yeah.
that. I ain't
And
gonna do it to you.
and he spelled it wrong too. So you typing too fast. Slow down, Turbo.
I was like, they're trying to
Um,
get you up there.
if I got paid to irritate my daddy, I'd be a rich man right now.
Mm,
My existence annoys this man's soul so much.
that's
I
so
am the
funny.
reckoning of everything he did when he was
Dang.
so you know how, like, I guess, like, your parents say, okay, one day you gonna have kids and they're gonna do. I
Yep.
am Listen, I am the one.
That's you. Oh, dang. Dang.
My brother did his things, but my brother was far more low key. But I think because my father and I are so much alike,
Mm-hmm.
he can't stand it. Listen, he can't stand being challenged because my dad is so wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's used to being the smartest man in the room, and nobody ever challenges him. Cue me.
And then there you go.
enter
You're
enter
like,
Barzini.
I
Like,
have something to say. I have something to
right,
add.
right. No, so he was talking one time, philosophizing or whatever. He's teaching me a lesson. No, he was talking to my friend, and I just sometimes I get tired of the lessons. I'm like, look, can we just talk about some superficial shit for a while? And
Mm.
and he's deep, right? And so he says, like, everything in existence has a polar opposite. And like, he's talking energy and all this other stuff. And there's and I'm like, and so when I wanted to stop, I just piss him off, right? By saying something stupid. So I was like,
Uh-oh.
everything has an opposite. He was like, everything. And I say, so what's the opposite of butter?
And see, I understand.
Right.
You done become a pain in his butt
It because
asking something like that. So what was the answer? That's what we really want to know.
no, he said, fuck you, Jay. Like, when he's sick of my shit, he just be like, fuck you, Jay. And I'm like, I win. Because he get
Oh my
irritated because he
Lord.
know I'm just being an ass.
Child,
All
child.
right, I'm gonna stop talking about my daddy. I love my daddy, but hey, I just
It is what it is.
he's funny with his honorary self. Listen,
And that's gonna be you then when you get older.
nah, I'm cool.
That's so
It's
funny.
even funny now because I know he watching this talking shit, but I've got the microphone.
Okay, okay. You gonna get it. You are going to get it.
Oh, I'm
I'm
gonna
just
hear
over
about it.
here smiling. That's what I'm
I'm
doing.
definitely gonna hear about it. He's gonna call me.
Yeah,
All right, I'm off his head. I love you, Pop.
that's so funny.
But yeah. So we got a super interesting topic this week, y'all.
Mhm.
It was heavy. It was real heavy.
I
Now
can't wait to really hear what you have to say, especially because you don't really follow
the
the
show.
show.
So
So I
yeah.
wanted to hear about that, but then also, of course, this is a topic that doesn't
Mhm.
just apply to a TV show.
Right.
Some
It's
people really have
it's very relevant.
ex-
And while
hmm
I don't watch the show, um I wasn't like, and I don't not watch the show because I'm like, that's gonna be some bullshit. I have always intended to watch it. I just haven't yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
look at
Um
you.
yeah, no, it's not because people are like, oh, you gotta watch it. Like, I respect Issa Rae, and so of course, yeah, we were talking about Insecure. um I respect like her journey and starting from like the internet show, and then ascending and everything else to higher heights, and what she's doing now. So I definitely wanted to see it, and so seeing that's literally the only episode that I've watched, but just the social relevance of it, and I was like, wow, because we've seen so many people go through this. So
Hmm
I was like, and then it didn't help matters that I'm watching it like 4 in the morning. So yeah.
I
So I'll let you.
appreciated watching it from the man's point of view. So
Got
that's,
you.
I,
Yeah.
I definitely have some thoughts that,
Uh-huh.
I want to share
So
when we
why don't you
get to it.
go ahead and and introduce it. and the setup for
Well,
those who are watching
well,
like that.
before we do that, because
You know,
this is an episode, there's
we
things
gotta
that we
pay
have
these.
to do.
We gotta pay. See, that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not ready to be married because I keep forgetting to pay the bills. So let's pay these bills. So y'all, as always, the Crossroads podcast is brought to you by the House of 334.
It's the house.
So for all of your business branding and copyright needs, go to house of334.com. It is black owned, it is woman owned, it is black woman owned, and it is amazing.
Yes,
Crossroads
sir.
is also brought to you by the Crossroads. Y'all, we are still on our journey to get to 10,000 subscribers. So if you are watching this live now, go to our YouTube. Um, Click subscribe, click the bell, follow us so you can get notifications for our lives and for our new episodes. Um, yeah, because like we need those subscriberships so we can grow the show and everything else. And then share this with two people. Like if you're watching right now, share this link with two people and tell them to log in so we can have this discussion and chime in and everything else. Also, for those of you who would like to donate to the Crossroads podcast, you can go to our bit.ly. That is bit.ly/the Crossroads. That's THEXROSSROADZ. You can donate a little, you can donate a lot. We love you all the same. Thank you for those who continue to donate, y'all. This is a labor of love, but love ain't free. And if you think it is, go tell your landlord you love them. All right.
Mm.
So now that the bills are paid, we can introduce the topic. If he don't get talk about, I need to pay him.
So look, Varsity is so excited to talk. Now,
I'm not.
let's talk about what's
I'm
really
just.
happening here.
I'm
For
just
those of
drinking
you
a
who are,
Red Bull. That's
we
all.
know what happens with Red Bull. So I'm gonna slow us down and bring us back.
Okay.
First of all, okay, we are live right now. Generally, this is the time that we pre-record episodes that launch on Thursday mornings for you guys. But this topic was, so exciting, and we know so many people have been writing think pieces and talking about it in the group chats. And so we wanted to talk to you about it. But this is actually this week's episode. So that's why we have to remember to shout out our sponsors. And we also have a full blown segment before we get to our topic. So I want to make sure that we
I, want,
that we slow it down.
I tried. I tried to skip the segment. Right.
I was like, he,
Like we
he
go.
this is
Okay.
not it's not oh, he don't want to. Oh, you don't want to?
No, we're gonna do it because it's a regular show. So I'm going to follow
Yes.
protocol. I will
Okay.
follow.
I just want to make
See,
sure.
I listen.
Not I listen. That's
I
funny. Well,
do.
let me be ready once you introduce it.
All
But go ahead.
right. So y'all, this week on the fuck. So we do have some people that watch the live sometimes and don't catch the episodes, or some that catch the episodes and not the lives. We don't normally do this segment on live. So what this segment is our conversations. Dre and I have conversations throughout the week. We send each other things and things that we find on social media that make us tilt our head to the side and ask the question, the fuck? Oh, so this week I done snatched my headphones out and everything else.
Oh my goodness. That's
Wardrobe
okay.
malfunction.
That's all right. That's all
So
right.
this week on the fuck, what we got?
Okay, so there was a post that says wanting petite women is rooted in pedophilia, but okay. I was like, oh shoot.
Right. That should have never gave you niggas internet. Let me just say that. like, like y'all, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you.
I mean,
I
I
need to
really,
marinate because this
yeah.
Red Bull is surging right now, and I need to kind of
Okay,
center
so
myself.
this is where we kind of give our thoughts. We try to wrap it in about 60
60
seconds. I
seconds.
don't really have a lot of thought. I mean, I guess that could be true, but I just don't for a case or certain cases, but I don't understand anybody labeling something as the gospel truth for everybody. Happened to see a couple last week actually when we were out, and the guy might have been about 6'9", 6'10". I know, right? 6'9", 6'10", and the young lady might have been 5'2". I think I might be generous, but I'm like, that's on them. If you want to hurt his
Mhm.
neck and she would hurt her neck looking up and down, that's about all I thought about it. I had that thought in the moment, like, whoo, child, trying to have a conversation. I'll be like, can you sit down so I can talk to you? But I never thought like, oh, he's with her because she resembles a child. I think people take things a tad
Right.
bit too far.
And then there was the ones that talk about, oh, men date shorter women so because
All about
they try to
control.
control.
That was the next part.
I was like, ma'am. So like my question would be somebody like Shaq, 7'2".
Right.
Everybody is like 4'11" to him. So who
Yeah.
the fuck he's supposed to date?
Well, he got to date all basketball chicks that's like centers,
But even still, like
but
I think
they wouldn't be that much of a
right. I think the
mismatch.
tallest player in the WNBA right now, and I could be mistaken because I'm not looking it up, but the tallest one that I'm aware of would be like Brittany Griner, who's
Hmm.
like 6'9" or something like that.
Yeah.
That's still short.
I mean, not as short as this, not
Right.
like a whole
So
foot and some
so I
change.
also wonder, okay, but
But how many women exist that's that tall
right.
that he would be
So
attracted to and that,
right.
he would want to
Right.
be with,
So okay, so let's take a Brittany Griner who okay doesn't date men,
I
but
was
let's
about to
just
say
say
that.
she yeah, no. But let's just say that she did. There's and I'm sure there's women that tall, 6'9" or whatever, that date men. And they're likely shorter. What's that rooted in? Well, who's she gonna date? There's like it's gonna be some fucking excuse. And I'm like, I had commented on that, and I was like, look, if you tall and ugly, just say that.
Oh,
Like, why do we always have to categorize these groups that aren't like you and then villainize men for liking it? Right?
hmm,
Because I like this was I feel like this was not written by a short woman, right? And I go back to that time I had a discussion in a class back when I was in school, and we got into the whole colorism thing, like, oh, men only like lighter skinned women because of Eurocentric standards of beauty, blah 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 blah, and all that shit. And I'm like, no. So it's like as if lighter skinned women, black women, aren't black. Like, who are
hmm,
they supposed to date? As if grown adult short women aren't still grown women. You just
right,
short.
just
You see what I'm
short.
saying? And so if taller men didn't date short women, I would not be here. My mama's
Yeah,
5 foot
me neither. Mine too.
and far from a
Hey,
child.
say this. Say this.
Mhm.
Okay. The smaller they are, the more hell
Yeah.
comes forth.
Listen. He and I both know my mama who's watching right now
I was about to say,
very
y'all better be
well.
careful.
Yeah. I mean, I ain't scared of my mama now. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never been scared of my mama because I was always the baby boy. So I've I can count on one hand or a couple of fingers of ever feeling her wrath.
Mm.
My brother and my sisters, on the other hand, not
Oh.
so much.
So you've been
Listen,
watching from afar.
listen. I'll tell like my baby sister. I feel in a former life used to be a Mexican boxer,
That's
right?
very random.
No, because Mexican boxers, their style is very they brawl and they take punches. Like
Mm.
you got to come with it if you're gonna knock out a Mexican. Like they're and even when you knock them down, they just keep getting up, right? So if you knock out a Mexican boxer, you didn't did something because even if you knock them down, they get up and they going. She got her ass beat so much and just would not shut. Like she just wouldn't stop. And we're like, please, for the love of God, this woman is gonna kill you. My
Yeah.
my cousin my cousin Terry Wayne is a Hall of Fame Marine Corps boxer. And he got up one day, it's like, she can't take no more, Annie. It's like he had to he,
Oh.
that little woman, anytime somebody snatch your ponytail off your head and beat you with it, it's not playing around with you.
Oh. No. No.
She
No,
got
they're not.
beat with her own prom dress. you complained about it, so she snatched it off of her, whooped her ass with
Oh,
it. Or it might have been homecoming. It was one of them dances.
I was about to say, dang, don't get in trouble on your prom night. Jeez,
Listen, I
Louise.
don't. My baby sister, I love her to death, but that child had a death wish. I don't know what it was, or what, and now
Them
she got
young
two
ones.
girls herself.
Oh, well,
So yeah.
that's gonna come back. That's gonna
Oh,
come back.
oh, it's already started.
It's gonna come
Shout
back.
out to my biscuit who's going her 11 now. Like,
My
but yeah,
God.
nah, little women. But like, yeah, the whole pedophilia. Like my ex, I had an ex that's 4'11". Like, and I didn't see child at all. She was built nothing like a child.
Oh, Jesus.
That was all woman too. I'm like, like y'all just I don't.
I think people just like to have, especially on the internet. I don't know if
Yeah,
people really believe these things or if they're just like, you know what can get me some clicks today?
yeah,
Because that's the kind of world we really live in.
yeah. Anything for likes. But it's exhausting sometimes because I think like the it gets so blurred when you can't even separate somebody's real thoughts from making some shit up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And a lot of it's just clickbait. So I'm just like, y'all, knock it the hell off. Shout out to short women. You know what I'm
Shout
saying?
out to short women.
Shout out to the
Many
little
of us came from Little Women, so
right.
shout
From
out
the
to them.
yeah, shout out to the little bits. Um
Yes.
and everything else. So fellas, going to get you a short woman or tall or whatever. Like, hey, look,
I
some
mean,
of
I'm team tall, but because I
look now some of
5'9"
y'all
gang,
want to climb the mountain. Listen,
but get with whatever works for you. Okay.
I've dealt with a couple of 6 footers.
Hey,
Listen,
do
and
what you can handle.
I'm talking.
That's all I
that's
got.
there's
Do
a
what you can
story.
handle.
That's an offline story.
Okay. I'll look for it one day. I'll
I-
look for it one day.
but yeah,
Yes.
so
All right, let's do it.
that's the fuck. So let's get into the meat of what we're talking about this week. Set it
Oh, you
up
wanted to
for.
show your shirt though, didn't you? Did you want to show our shirt?
Oh, shout out. It is Founders Week. So shout out
Oh,
to
my shirt.
your shirt. I'm gonna get my shirt, but
Oh,
your shirt. Your shirt's first. It's more important.
oh, yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Shout out to the pretty poodles, the lovely ladies of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. It is their Founders Week this Friday.
99.
Yeah, founded on Sunday, November 12th, 1922.
Yes, yes. He looked
Mhm.
that up to find out it was an actual Sunday. We so grateful for the
I
shout out.
didn't really look it up. I just asked
Well,
Alexa.
he called it up.
Yeah, I called it up.
Alexa gave us the info.
Right.
Let's
You know, she's
say
very resourceful. She does math too.
she, absolutely.
Yeah. I wonder how many days ago that was. Let's see if she knows.
Okay.
Alexa, how many days ago was November 12th, 1922?
November 12th, 1922 was 36,156 days ago.
My Lord. 36,000.
36,156,000 days. Y'all are 36,156 days old.
Well, on Friday,
Congratulations.
we will be.
On Friday. No, that was from today.
Okay.
I said how many days ago would it, so
From
it would have been
today.
from
You're
today.
right. You're right.
Mhm.
You're right. My
Yeah.
bad. Well, thank you.
Look at
We're
that.
very happy
I
to be
done
here.
I done taught your sorority sisters some info, some history. How many of y'all know y'all was founded on a Sunday? For the record, the Gentlemen of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated was founded January 5th, 1911. That was a Thursday.
Oh, shout out to y'all.
Shout out to my shirt as well. Shout out to the Colts. I'm wearing my class shirt. I am an alum of the mighty Carson High School. For those who don't know, I
Shout out
love
to the mighty.
mighty Coat Love. You know, Big Blue, Sea House. Crenshaw's always like, we the real Sea House. Let's sit down somewhere.
Hey,
Look, they just struggle to stay open every damn year.
my mom's not gonna like you anymore. Her and my dad, Crenshaw, my whole family on that. Yeah, Crenshaw Cougars, child.
and that's why you went to
I
Lacey.
was saying, then they sent me somewhere else. I was like, man, that's about nothing. But
You was probably the first one eligible.
dang,
Although
they,
you the smart one
they,
now. She got to go. They didn't want to mess it up.
They got us up out of there. Yeah, me and my cousins, we all was
But nah, but it's crazy. You would think it's been, but how many Cougars went to SC?
MB.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I'm saying, there's a lot of them. Like
Okay. I was like, no, some
yeah,
did.
no, shit. It's down the street. It's a natural matriculation.
Yeah.
So shit. It was more prestigious than my school, even though I love my TC or whatnot. Shout out to the Steers of Texas College. But let's get into why we are here.
Share the broadcast, you guys. Hit the share button. Hit the share button since we are live. If you're listening to this later, you can, or watching this later, you can hit the share button as well.
Mhm. Exactly.
Because we want live comments now, but we are definitely going to want to get some comments later. Yes, we are getting to the
Yes, we're
topic
getting to the
right now.
topic, Dad.
This is clear, Dad, that you don't watch our show because this
Mhm.
is the format.
Right.
You guys are used to live where we, typically on live we go from topic to topic to topic, but
Mhm.
on the show we do our, kind of intro.
Our
We have
banter.
our opening segment, and then we spend the last half of the show on the topic. So
Right.
here
So
we are. Have you shared? Share.
right. Ain't nobody following him. He ain't gonna share.
Oh, dang. Share. All right,
um,
so let's go ahead and get into it. So, for those of you who watch Insecure, what I'm going to ask you to do, if you saw this week's episode, go ahead and start typing in your thoughts, because what I'm going to do is kind of a lead in for those who may not watch the show or may not have watched this particular episode, so that they can know what we're talking about. So, if you already have a thought or a comment, then go ahead and type it in. Oh boy, it looks like we have some bots going
mhm.
on. So I'm about to block. But for the rest of you, yeah, you have thoughts and comments about this week's episode, go ahead and start putting them in the comments. So if you're unfamiliar, if you've been under a rock, Insecure is actually airing its final season right now. They're calling it season 5, season 5, but they're calling it season 5. Uh, and from
That
what
that's horrible. Like
it
they
is,
tried. That was I
but
was like, huh?
it's a thing. It's a
Uh,
thing. It's a
Okay.
hashtag and everything. So it's season 5, and for those of us who are watching, this is the culmination of the years that we have been following these characters who are centered in um, LA, Inglewood area. Okay, so here's the backstory, and I actually put this in the group for those who are not familiar, just to kind of get caught up. But we want to know what you think. So, guy dates girl A for years, hits a rough patch. They patch up, but he finds out that she cheats during the rough patch and breaks it off. They stay in one another's orbit for the next few seasons, trying to move on and doing things with their life, like work, career changes, so on and so forth. Guy now meets girl B. They're having a good time. They're also having sex. Girl A and B wind up meeting by chance, forming a friendship. They even work together. Girl A doesn't make a scene when she finds out about Guy, and girl B supports the relationship. Girl B knows that Guy isn't over girl A, so she breaks it off. Guy and girl A get back together. Guy gets great new job in another city and finds that girl A is even willing to relocate.
Mm.
All is well until
Until.
girl B shows up and says those two words,
Mm.
I'm pregnant. Guy is surprised, devastated, possibly disappointed. Okay, he's run the gamut there. Girl B says, you, in quotes, you can be as involved as you want to be. She is deciding to still have the baby, regardless of the fact that they no longer have a relationship and a previous relationship or marriage. There was a missed opportunity for kids there. So that's how last season ended. That's how season
Mm.
4 ended. Season 5, that opener finds girl A, which is actually played by Issa Rae, unable to deal with the situation and breaking things off with the guy, Lawrence. While trying to pick up the pieces in a new city, he was actually on a date. He gets a text that his kid was born. So he has to hop on a plane to see his son. He already finds out that the son has been named. All the doctor's appointments have been scheduled, and even the christening plan is in the works. So he's trying desperately to see how he can make things work. Hey, I'll fly down every weekend. Some of the weekends he missed, we kind of saw in a montage, hey, I have to work, I'm not able to make it. But he wants, it's portrayed that he wants
Mhm.
to build a relationship, be there for his son, have his son spend time with his family as well. Now, this infant, we're seeing him from birth to probably about anywhere between 4 and 6 months, that whole episode. So it's a baby, it's not like a kid, okay? Girl B is very uncomfortable with letting the baby out of her sight and sometimes not even out of her arms, like, this is my baby. She challenges the ideas that Guy makes with regard to the baby, but she's also worn down and exhausted from caring for a newborn around the clock. She seems to have help with her sister, but the sister also hates Lawrence. She's like, death, death, death. Ultimately, Lawrence and Condola, his girl B, get into a huge blow up over how involved he wants to be. And she yells out in the thick of their argument, I don't trust you. So the episode ends with them on the phone at the top of a conversation about what to do next. So I've pretty much taken you through, at least for these characters, 5 seasons or four seasons and 3 episodes of their involvement together. And so people are writing think pieces, uh, tweeting, they're doing clubhouse rooms. It's like going down right now.
Mhm.
Probably some podcast episodes as well, like us, about you know single parenting, co-parenting, baby mamas, baby daddies, that whole thing. And so we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts about this episode? Maybe even your experiences, because some of you probably are going through this, living through this, or you might have some comments.
Yeah.
So, Barzini, haven't having not watched an episode or maybe many episodes of Insecure, this being your first,
Hmm.
give us your thoughts.
Whew. Um,
And I think that's how your text. He was like, "This is a lot."
yeah, I was like, this is a lot. So, like, you got to be careful what you ask for. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like for my view of her is don't say it if you don't mean it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I found myself like knowing that she said that. Like I didn't have the context before because it's not named in the episode of you can be
Mm-hmm.
as involved as you want to be.
Yeah.
But then you're upset as he's not as involved as you want him to be. You know what I'm saying? Um, and there's always and that's where and I'm gonna try to toe the line as much as I can when the whole my body, my choice narrative, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. But you can't deny that element that you're still also deciding for him,
Yeah.
right? Um, if a woman decides that she's not going to have a child for whatever reason, she's rarely, there is some condemnation from certain sect of people,
Mm-hmm.
but moreover, it's like her body, her choice. Like, oh, that's a responsible decision. But the minute a man says, "Oh, I don't want to have the child," the narrative, well, you shouldn't have slept with her. You should have wore condom. But how many children are born from they? Hey, he wore condoms. Sometimes condoms break, or we know they're not 100%. I know some antibiotic babies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
she's on birth control. You're taking all these precautions, and she's nullified that by taking antibiotics and becomes pregnant. Like, is that on him?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't deny, like, okay, it's here. You're responsible. You had sex, but it's kind of like, damn. And so it was hard for me not knowing some of the background information because in this episode, he's treated like a leper.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, cause so it made me like, what did he do to her? Like, did he dog her? Did he do her wrong? Was he like, oh? Like from my just from watching this episode, it doesn't lend itself to say like, oh well, I ain't gonna be there, you on your own, or you know what I mean? It's like
Hmm.
I'm trying to step up and be responsible, and it was a whole lot of her not letting him.
Yeah.
And so where I struggle, it's hard for me to be completely objective because I am a product of being raised by a man. I was raised by a father. You know what I mean? Where my father called my mother when I was very young, and said, I want to raise my sons. It wasn't, hey, I'm struggling, or yo boys is acting up. You need to come get them. They
Hmm.
no, it was
It wasn't Boys in the Hood. You didn't get dropped
it,
off by
yeah, I didn't get dropped off or nothing like that because we out here fucking up.
right.
And so it's like, and I even talked about this in a conversation earlier today. I don't know anything but an amicable co-parenting relationship between my parents, right? Like the marriage didn't work out, okay, cool. But as far as them parenting, they both just did what was necessary at whatever time, or if something I wouldn't know what the other one couldn't do because that was never brought to me.
Hmm.
I was just being raised.
Right.
However, that occurred, I don't know the details of that because it was none of my business.
You're
My
good.
job was to wake up every morning and
Hey.
and be a child. I was never forced to grow up faster than was necessary, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so my lens when I'm watching this show and I'm seeing this man trying to be a father, you know what I mean, and have an equal part in his son's life, and that's and he's being cut off at the head from the beginning. Like you find out your child's being born via text, like, oh,
Yeah,
by the way, your kid's here.
that was shitty.
You know what I mean? But you're upset by his involvement. It's, well, you can see him when I allow you to, but then I'm upset when you can't make it. It's um you need to do more, but I don't trust you with him. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like a whole lot of mixed signals. Now, granted, I don't know what it's like to carry a child. I don't know what it feels like to have postpartum. I don't know like the separation anxiety or whatever that mothers, and I venture to say being a mother is much different than being a father, like biologically and otherwise. I can't speak to that connection. But
Hmm.
I do know that regardless of how you see the person who you had the child with, that is still their parent. And a lot
Right.
of times, fathers are, or men in general, are looked at as just byproducts or an assistant. You know, like you get in where I tell you to, and it feels like most of her verbiage it was like, "This is my child,"
Hmm.
you know, and I just always find that to be real fucked up because it's your child until he's not doing what you want him to do. Then it's, oh, you not even there for your child. Like now it's your child. When
Hmm.
you want to break or blah 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 blah, now it's your child and you not. So it's like, why be bothered at all when I'm only allowed to be involved when you say so? So that level of control over my life, right? Like he works in a whole nother city and is willing to fly down every week, but at your convenience still. And then you got this, your family is like, like I don't even like what did he do for the sister to act like she did? Like, is there a backstory to that? Did they?
So the backstory is, like I said, they were kicking it, right?
Mm-hmm,
Like that, and it turned into what it turned into, and she wanted it to kind of be more casual, or she said she wanted to be more casual. She was a divorcee. So, hey, we're just vibing. Plus, and she was correct in this regard. He was not over his ex,
mm-hmm,
and when she pointed it out, it made him step back and go, shit, maybe I'm not.
mm-hmm,
And so he did wind up reconnecting with Issa,
mm-hmm,
and they broke their thing off. Him and Condola, broke their thing off. He's back with Issa. They're talking, they're making plans, but the deed was already done. And so here she comes, like, hey, I'm pregnant. Now, this conversation, of course, he's like, well, what are you going to do? Which I can
mm-hmm,
imagine is kind of how that goes when you're not with somebody who's like, I'm, I'm pregnant. So he's like, well, what are you going to do? And so she's like, well, I'm going to have the baby. he's shocked. Like, why
Mhm.
on earth would you do that? Type situation. And so that's when she says, look, you can be as involved as you want to be, which, yes, it's all like you have to say what you mean and mean what you say. And we've talked about this on this show, particularly the communication between men and women. A lot of times we as women say things, maybe it's how we feel in the moment, or maybe it's
Mhm.
how we think we feel. We're not necessarily always clear
Mhm.
in our communication, and you all by and large, unless you're lying, are very clear. Like,
Mhm.
if he were to have said in that moment, I don't want anything to do with the kid, it's likely that he absolutely meant that. But he didn't say that. He was just, and to me, like, to be fair, I'm sure he had gotten the wind knocked out of him, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm planning for my life to go this way, and oh shoot, it's now going to include a kid. And because of the type of guy that we have known him to be on the show, flaws and all, nothing in me thought, oh, he's going to leave this kid behind. So I think it was more so like, shoot, how am I going to make this work? I'm having a baby with somebody that I'm not with, I do not want to be with. I'm having a baby. Let's start there. I'm having a baby, and that wasn't the plan. I'm having a
Mhm.
baby with somebody that I'm not with. Oh, I finally patched things up with somebody that I love, that I want a future with, and I got to tell her that I'm having a
Mhm.
baby and a baby with somebody that I don't want to
Right.
be with. And I just got this great new job. I'm moving out of the city. My girl's okay with it. We're actually making plans for her to relocate, but now I'm going to be away from my kid. Like, that's a whole lot to deal with. And I think he was more so just like, damn it. Like, this
Mhm.
is not ideal. What am I going to do? So it wasn't a lot of conversation. He absolutely didn't say, I don't want to be involved. But I think also she put it out there, and somebody on Twitter actually said they thought she put it out there because it would be easier for her to accept out the gate. I got to do this by myself, right? And however she dealt with that, she called them all kind of bastards or whatever. It was just like, okay, he's not going to be there, and I'm done. But harder for him to be there but not be with her,
Mhm.
right? It's like we're not really doing this together, even though we're doing this together. And I think
Mhm.
that's what we're seeing is like resentment because, yes, he gets to kind of ebb and flow and go and come, versus if he were living there locally or if he was in the house with her and they had actually made a plan. I was so confused, like, because, okay, the last season ended with that conversation. You can be as involved as you want to be, blah, blah, blah. He has to tell Issa that he's having a baby with somebody else. We do not see any kind of finality between, Lawrence and Condola. This is how we're going to do it. Next
Mhm.
thing we know, 3 episodes into the next season, he gets a text like, your baby is here. I didn't even
While
know.
he's on a
I
date.
heard while he's on a date, which was odd as well. I didn't even know that it was time for the, like, how much time has elapsed?
Mhm.
I'm not, really sure. And so that's the first time that
Well,
we,
9 months.
well, when the time, I didn't know it had been 9 months before the
Mhm.
test, right? So I'm like, and it wasn't 9 months, by the way, because the baby came early. So that was another reason why he
Mhm.
was like, the
Oh yeah.
hell? So all that being said, they did not discuss a parenting plan, or birth plan or after birth plan. Like, I guess, she, we're left to assume maybe they didn't speak at all. Maybe she wasn't talking to him. Maybe she assumed he wasn't going to be involved after she said to him, you can be as involved as you want to be. Because the look on her face when he walked in the room was like, what
What you
you
doing
doing
here?
here? Yeah.
Mhm.
So, there might have just been some thought to her, like, he's not going, or because I dismissed him, he's going to take that and go on with his life. But as we saw, he wanted to be very involved, or at least as much as his life allowed him to be. And I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it now, like, people can be mad at me if you want to.
Mhm.
But and this is something that I'm considering even as, this stage in my life, if I'm gonna have kids or not or whatever. It's like as parents, you have huge responsibilities. But as a mother, right? Like it's not fair, but
Mhm.
and you mentioned it's biology. We carry the babies, we birth the babies, we have that initial bond with the babies, and and I was taught, whether directly or indirectly, you have to make solid decisions because that's what happens at the end of the day. You the one with the big belly, you the one, got to push it out, you the one got to deal with whatever comes with that. Ideally you have a partner, ideally you're doing it together, but what if you don't? Or what if it's tumultuous like this? And
Mhm.
so, making solid decisions from the beginning, or making some better decisions even after you do something that maybe you feel like you should not have done, like that's necessary. But I feel like Condola kept digging her heels in, and now she's pissed about
Mhm.
some decisions that she made. Like
Right.
this dude was gone, he's in the wind. Now again, I'm not telling anybody what to do with their bodies, but is having the baby and or raising the baby, was that the best decision for her? Right now does not look like she feels like it is,
Mhm.
or at least the situation. Maybe having a baby was, but like the situation that they're in, that's not the one that she wanted, and that's why she's acting out. That's why her sister is pissed. Like, I mean, Condola technically broke up with Lawrence, so it wasn't like you left my sister in the. No, she broke up with him. But again, the deed was already done, and
Mhm.
maybe sister feels like, okay, you should have, once you found out you were having a baby, you should have got back with my. I mean, siblings and family members, they
With
love us,
limited view,
so
yeah.
they'll make some scenarios in their head. But that's how that kind of played out,
Mhm.
and I felt bad for both of them, because fathers often get a bad rep anyway. And then when we see good fathers, we act like, oh my God, this is like,
Like it's an
man in
anomaly
the
or
moon.
something.
Yeah, it's like, oh my,
Yeah, and it's
you
like
did so well. And it's like, well, that's what fathers do, you know?
right. And
But
yeah, and we act like, and we love that 70% statistic, right? Like, oh, 70% of black people grow up in single parent homes. Okay, that just means that both parents aren't living there. That does not mean both parents are not in their life, right?
mhm,
But we have to stop looking at children as currency and using them to manipulate situations to fit your narrative. You know what I mean? Um, like you have those who decide to have a kid to fill whatever void, right? It ain't
mhm.
always about like a religious belief or you don't believe it. Like, oh, if that's the case, get a dog.
Mm,
Um,
hello.
you know what I'm saying? But you can't, like, it's that you don't own a person, you know, and your feelings about somebody, like, you don't, if we're using that same logic that we tell men, oh, you got to be careful who you sleep with, okay, you don't get to decide how much of a father someone is when you decided that when you slept with them. Like when you decided to lay down, you decided this is the person I'm about to go
That's
half
real
with.
talk. That
You know
is
what I'm
real
saying?
talk.
And so now that the baby's here, you want to use how you feel. Like he was the same person when you laid with him,
Yep.
whether however responsible, irresponsible, loving, not loving, whatever you thought of him, you thought at that same time when you was laying down. So now you got this new view of him, or you want to decide what kind of father he's going to be, and he ain't even got the opportunity to be a father yet. You know what I'm saying? Like the baby just got here, and you're judging his fatherhood based on a limited purview that you keep trying to control. Oh, what this like, and like even in the scene where he's just trying to ask simple questions because he's concerned. Oh, if I've already got, like, you're not involving him in anything and then being upset when he doesn't agree. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
And so
and that's her trying to push him back out. It's like, okay,
mhm,
well, I gave you the out. You won't take it, so now I'm gonna try to push you out. And he's
mhm.
like, oh no, no, no.
Right. And then
I'm
the
not gonna
minute,
be
yeah,
pushed.
but and if he says fuck it, I'm out,
Then he's a
then
bad guy.
right, then he's the bad guy. And then I didn't get the other one when they was at the party, uh the godmother of the other baby. Why was she treating him so
Oh, okay. So because, well, technically, he's having a baby with somebody when, so she's Issa's friend,
oh
and
okay.
they had gotten back
So
together,
that was the
and
oh my
now,
friends are thriving and this
yes, yes. I said, go on
right.
and be a friend, sis. Yes,
But
living in
that's not
abundance,
yeah,
limitless.
that's just stupid. Like
Well, that's the petty on top,
right.
and they didn't. It was as amicable as it could be, right? Like he understands that she cannot handle or didn't want to
Right.
handle what came with it. So they
But
just,
yeah, but what I'm struggling with this whole episode, everybody is treating this dude like pure shit. And from what I understand, he didn't do anything to anybody. Like they broke up. No, they was together. He got
mhm.
cheated on.
Yeah, but there was some undercurrent with that,
Uh-huh.
which is why when they wound up getting back together, I call it the closure episode, but they wound up having a conversation, and there were things that both of them didn't know. And so technically he didn't cheat on her, but and you can appreciate this because you talk about, the cheated on, how
Hmm.
they contribute, right?
Hmm.
He had to own and share with her, well, she shared with him, like how he pushed her out. There was like times that he didn't want to talk. I guess he, was going through some depressive episodes, but dealing with things at work, and he just laid. Now, what we saw as the audience is just this dude laying on the couch. But
Hmm.
as they're having this conversation, it's like, you didn't want to go anywhere, you didn't want to have sex, you didn't want to talk. I'd like she's literally there with him every day trying to figure out what can I do,
Hmm.
and it's
So
like
why didn't she
zero.
just leave?
Why? Yeah, right.
No, I'm
Right.
fucking around, but
Yeah.
I get it.
No, no, no. You're right. But I'm just
Uh-huh.
saying, like, we didn't have that piece of information in the beginning. It looked
Hmm.
like, oh, he's a bum.
Hmm.
And she, was living her life and wound up running into somebody, and there was something, and she was like, oh God, I gotta, I shouldn't have
Hmm.
done this. And they did mend.
Hmm.
They had a conversation then, and then it came out that,
Hmm.
while they were going through the rough patch. And so that's how that happened. And then in the seasons, in between, they both jabbed each other
Hmm.
with some stuff that they probably should
Right.
not have done.
So you
So
yeah, so
people
you
have,
got some back and forth. So okay, let's just say samesies, right?
mhm,
I contributed to not making you feel fulfilled in a relationship. You went and got some temporary fulfillment. Boom, we had our part in it, or whatever he did. So again, but we're treating him like the leper,
right.
right? Like, yeah, he had his part, but we're not acknowledging, okay, but she did actually go out and
But
cheat, right?
also, these are all her friends. Let's
Right.
also
No, no,
be
no. I
clear.
get it. I
Okay.
get it. So they're her friends, but that accountability piece is not existing. So now we gonna shit on him, even though she did. We
Mhm.
know what she did, but we her friends, so we shitting on you, the sister. Like every and it's like then they get back together. Issa broke up with him.
Mhm.
Condola broke up with him.
Yeah.
He
But
like
it's like, oh my gosh, if you wouldn't have messed with this, it doesn't have to be logical. I'm just telling you what it is.
no.
If you wouldn't have messed with this girl and gotten her pregnant, you and my friend would be happily, like, you overcame. I know that's how I felt. I don't even know
Mhm,
these people, their characters, but it was just like, oh my god, we went through all of these seasons. You guys overcame all of this, and at the end of the day, you got this girl. Like, I'm sure all of us that
and
were
notice
Lawrence
right
Hive
and
distraught.
notice you notice like even some of our subconscious wording. Notice how we say you got her pregnant.
Well, that was the everybody's
No, but listen to
thought.
how we say that you got her pregnant.
Mhm.
Like
You
she
dropped the
wasn't
seed. You was there.
like oh so now it's oh he holds the seed. He's responsible for it. You see what I'm saying? We
Isn't it?
don't
Isn't
say
that?
oh you didn't say oh hey girl you oh you went got pregnant by him. No, you got her pregnant. She such a vector. You yeah
No, no, no.
yeah.
She's a
No, I'm
victim.
not saying that. I'm just
Oh,
saying that's
okay.
how. But and so we don't look at we conveniently ignore the "it takes two" narrative, right? They laid down
Hmm.
together. We look at
Yeah.
her, it's like, oh, poor you. He's all the way up there. He's not here. What, like, and so my question would be to any of them, what are y'all expecting him to do? Like Issa, what are you expecting him to do? Issa friends, what are you expecting him to do? Condola, what are you expecting him to do? Condola's sister, what are you expecting him to do? Like,
Hmm.
what is he supposed to do? Right? Is he supposed to like, hey, fuck you, Condola, I'm about to go be happy with Issa? And all her friends are like, yay. Or nah, fuck you, Issa. I'm about to go, even though I'm not with her, about to go take care of this baby and just shut everybody else out. Yeah. Oh, nah, I'm not gonna take this job. You stupid. This is your career advancement. Like you own like
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Or nah, like nah, I'm staying up here because I got this job. My career, I got it. You know, oh, you being selfish,
Yeah.
like
It's really a no-win, which is why I believe he tried to do it all. It was
mhm,
like, I want to stay in my relationship. It's gonna be long distance, but I mean, clearly he's in the position where he can fly down,
mhm.
every
Every
weekend.
weekend.
And whatever she needed to do to kind of fill in the blanks, she could probably come up, sometimes too. So that part was straight. The career was finally on an uptick, and then wanted to be a weekend dad, I guess, or a weekend and holidays. I'm not sure, what the thought process was about that, but it seemed like his plan was to do everything.
Mhm,
And as much as, you want to do everything, people are still getting pieces of you. Like,
mhm,
right? You're not able to be fully and completely in this world with Issa because your world now involves Condola and the child forever, and probably
mhm,
Condola now forever because they're always going to be linked. And so, I think it's a good question. Like, yeah, what is the expectation? And if you got what you expected, would you be happy with that? Like, if I was with a dude who abandoned their kid, you wouldn't be with I wouldn't be with you. Like, so
right.
so
Oh,
I'm like,
and on top of that, we often tell men, like, you see what she's doing. She's shutting them out, all this other stuff. And if he ever threw up his hands and was like, fuck it, like she won't let me. You supposed to fight. Like we literally tell men, you should fight instead of saying you shouldn't have to fight to be in your child's life.
mhm,
We never say that. We disregard what she's doing and we tell him you have to try harder. You have to go through every avenue possible, no matter how like at what point do like so when we reverse the narrative and you got the baby daddy you got the crazy baby daddy who's tripping on that bullshit, what do we tell her? Stop fucking with him. Get rid of
mhm,
that nigga. Like, boom, boom, boom. But the minute is like being caused to stress and stuff like that, like, man, fuck her. I can't. Like, every child or no child, we all have a threshold.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying? Like, there's only so much we can take in life until it's like, so, because without the child, if somebody were acting like this and causing us stress and there's so much discord and trauma, we tell them stop fucking with them.
right,
You see what I'm saying? But now here's this child who us being together it will now be bred in this turmoil, and then when he decides I can't do this, this is killing me, because that's what trauma does, that's what stress does, it physically can kill you.
yeah,
Now it's you see what I'm saying? And so I don't, this particular episode does not show a equal playing field. It's not indicative of every situation like this. Like, you do got some men that are just some bastards out there. Like, let's not ignore or deny that.
mhm,
Um, but I think what is lost on us is there's a lot of women who have control simply because they carried the child, right?
yeah,
Now, granted, yes, I can't even imagine what those 9 months are like, and the months following, and the
God
postpartum
bless,
and like all of this stuff, right? But at the end of the day, it's still temporary
yeah,
most times. So it's like, so what's the statute of limitations for having carried the child, and the odds are all in your favor, right? At what point is like, look, hey, the baby's 3, like
yeah,
it's fine. At what point is the I carry them like
And
And because
honestly,
some
that
women
is what
like,
it is.
yeah, some
We
carried them
gotta,
for 9 months and they did shit since.
well, then there's that. That's
Like,
what I was saying. Like at some point, yeah, there's appreciation for mothers and the way that children get here, right? But it doesn't render the father obsolete. It's like he had, that's what I say, like got her print, like
mhm,
he had to be there for you to have something to carry and push out. So there needs to be appreciation. And what I felt was a disregard for one another. I
mhm,
think he was thinking about how hard it was for him, and it was, and she was thinking about how hard it was for her, and it was, and it's different hards.
mhm,
Peep episode 2 if you have not watched our second episode, Race to the Worst, where we talk about really men and women trying to volley for like who suffers the most. Like we
mhm,
all suffer. It's
mhm,
unfortunate. We all have things that we wish we didn't have to deal with based on our sex and or gender. So one is not going to trump the other. It's different,
mhm,
right? You all are dealing with some things that we could never fathom because we don't have to. We are dealing and deal with some things that you could never fathom. You might get an understanding if we share it with you, but you won't be able to really, really grasp it because you don't experience it. And instead of just appreciating people for where they are and what they have to deal with, we have to sometimes make ourselves feel like, we have it worse or we're more important. And that's
mhm,
not cool, especially when it comes to the kid, right?
mhm,
Like you want to one up somebody and it's just the two of you about some BS, who cares? But if you're doing that and in a tug of war with your kid, that's a mess.
mhm. Yeah,
That is not cool.
yeah.
And so I did have your dad's last comment up, which relationship is not about your emotions. The foundation of relationship is commitment to the success of the relationship, which is true. And unfortunately, in this regard, there was no relationship
Mhm,
anymore. Even though there should, I mean, as co-parents, that's a form of a relationship.
mhm,
And if we utilize that thought, I think that's a way for people to really like partner and do it. Like, okay, I may not like you. That's my emotion.
mhm,
I don't like you. I don't like the fact that you left me. I don't like the fact that we're not together anymore. Or you dismiss me or whatever the situation is. But my commitment is to this relationship. And the objective of this relationship is to raise this kid, a
mhm,
healthy and a happy kid. And I think operating from that space is the place that will help these
mhm.
kind of tumultuous co-parenting relationships. It'll help smooth them on out.
Right. I can
It
definitely
could.
dig that. Right. So yeah, it's. I think there's so much more, as always, to unpack
I
from these
know. I'm like,
topics. But
this might
yeah,
be important.
well, yeah, we might. Yeah, we might have to jump on a part two, especially to get more input from the audience. As we
Yeah.
kind of engage our community about it and introduce some new perspectives to it. But that being said, for this week, what are your final thoughts?
Mm, I don't know. I might be fresh out. I think I said all the things
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to say, but like I said, I was really moved by looking at this from a man's point of view because I've heard from my male friends like, hey, there's some women out here that are using the kid as leverage to act a fool or get what they want, or to withhold the kid because they didn't get what they wanted, and it's not something that I've ever been close to. So it's like it's hard for me to consider that kind of thing. But clearly, it,
Mm-hmm.
it happens. And uh, parenting is a partnership, as I mentioned. And so, even though women get a hard deal out of it, I still can't quite wrap my mind around pregnancy and childbirth. Like I have seen it, and I'm just like, oh my God, the body does what? Um, but even with that, you cannot disregard the father. You know, you have to come together and figure it out for the well-being of the child. It's hard sometimes. And I would say, unless you're dealing with a parent that just does not want to be there, this is not an opportunity for you to say or be dismissive, you know, you don't have to be here, which of
Mhm.
course nobody has to be here. Uh,
Mhm.
but if they don't say, oh, here's another thing. What if they do say, I don't want to be there, but then they change their mind? Is there room for the comeback? Or are you just like, well,
Mhm.
you said you didn't want to be involved and blah, 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 right? Like,
Mhm.
I will say this for my mom in particular. I don't know that that it ever had to go the other way. But, you know, my mom never used any type of shortcoming with my dad or any type of, you know, issue that they had with each other to like blast him.
Mhm.
She covered him a lot, right? And he wasn't an awful dad, but you know, he was not the primary parent. So there
Mhm.
were some times that, you know, he couldn't come get me or whatever the situation is. And so for a child that could be devastating. And especially if the mom was like, well, see, I told you he wasn't shit, you know, like that. I can appreciate parents that work together as a team. Cry it out to Jesus, cuss him out later, but in front of your kid, you got to ride or die. So
Mhm.
that you have a shot of presenting that united front and really fostering a great relationship with your kid and allowing them to have as best a relationship they can with the other parent. When they grow up, they'll know the truth.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even when they grow all the way up. Just when
Mhm.
they get enough awareness, they'll be able to make up their own mind. You do not have to paint anybody out to be the bad guy. You don't have to withhold, like, just be free flowing and love. And that might be easier said than done. But having the conversation, getting a mediator, somebody in there that can help you guys, because otherwise, like, just being a mess, it just messes up the kid. And you
Mhm.
don't want to be the one that the kid's like, you know, why did you do this?
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
I can dig it. Yeah. That was good. Um, so my final thought, I recall a situation to where somebody I was hanging out with, we weren't in a relationship. It was a sexual relationship though. But she asked me one day, had I thought about like making it official or making her my girlfriend? To which I said no. Right?
I was just thinking, like, Lord,
Yeah, you know
this
who I
poor
am.
lady.
But one of the but we had a discussion like on our first date about like having children, and she can't have any more children, right? And so that was a deal breaker for me. Like we can, if we gonna hang out, like it is what it is, but you know, it was my desire to have the option of having children.
Hmm.
And to which she was um like when we had this discussion, fast forward to her asking like, had I thought about that? And she was like, well, I thought about that, and we could have like a surrogate, da 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 da, this whole thing. And I just told her like how selfish that is, right? I was like, she had been married before, and she had kids in her marriage and stuff like that. They're older. I was like, you got to experience having children within a marriage, you know, and everything else. And what you're offering me is to have my child, like to be with you, but have my child with someone else. So I don't get to experience my child growing in the woman that I'm with and that I love, and laying on her belly and rubbing oil on it and having those conversations before you're here and experiencing my child coming into the world with the woman that I'm committed to and with. I was like, because having another woman carry my child, I could never look at her with adoration and praise and amazement because you'll be mad. I'm always going to have to mitigate that to protect
Hmm.
your feelings. That's what you're depriving me of. This is what you're introducing or offering me. And so I say that to say, like, I appreciate the miracle of birth and what a woman's body can do in carrying in a child, but you nullify that beauty when you weaponize it. You
Mm,
know, when you weaponize that the miracle of birth, like that should be a beautiful experience for both of you. That's not just you. And so many facets of the relationship, and I often say that men's happiness is not prioritized. When you look at the wedding, what do we say? That's her day. Right?
that's not what we said.
That's not what happened either. You
I
know.
told I said,
Yeah.
honey, this is
Yeah, that was
our day.
definitely, yeah, that was definitely about
Hmm.
both of y'all. But typically, what do we say? Oh, it's her day. It's what
Hmm.
she wants, and he's just stand there and wear whatever colors and blah blah, and often has very little input. Or well, you just handle the groomsmen, and the rest is, all the fanfare and the bridal shower and like everything is about that, right? And then give him all the responsibility of it in the marriage. But you're supposed to pay the bills and protect and provide and blah blah blah. And yet that day is nothing about him, right?
Mm.
And so when we're talking about childbirth, it's all about her. She went through this and did it, and we ignore like, well, who was taking care of her while she was doing this? Like her job is to carry the child for 9 months, but my job is to carry her forever, not even just for those 9 months. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so it's like when you hold your experience above his head to invalidate his involvement and his presence. What makes him want to be there? What makes him want to be involved? Right. And we're supposed to fight to do that. And we're supposed to overcome all of these different obstacles. And we're supposed to bite our tongue and understand her and where she's coming from or where she's going through this. At what point does what he feel and what he wants and what he needs in this partnership
Hmm.
considered or validated or accepted, or you know what I mean? And so when you get these men that don't want to be here that say fuck it, then he's a villain. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying? It's like when you've done everything you can to push him away and then you succeed, now you mad. You know what I mean? And so it's like if that's going to be your mindset, then everybody needs to be careful of who they lay down with. And I've often said women have a greater responsibility because your consequence is greater.
Yeah.
A man, you can never look at a man until he got a baby on the way.
Clearly.
You can't look at
Because
a man and was like, oh, he had sex. You know what I'm saying? But so it's like a scarlet letter. And a lot of times we don't look at women like, oh my God, she's pregnant. It's like, ooh, mm,
ooh, child.
you know,
Hmm.
you see what I'm saying? And is that fair and right? Absolutely not. But this is the
It
burden
is what
you
it
this
is.
is the burden
Hmm.
you bear. And so you had just as much to do with it as he did.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And so if it's my body, my choice, you're deciding the fate of yourself, of that child, and him. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Whether he wants this or not, the minute you decide, hey, I'm having it, he or the minute you get pregnant, society dictates he doesn't have a choice. Like his life, his future, his livelihood is in your hands. And I'm not telling you to what decision to make. I'm just saying that's the reality of it. You know
Right.
what I mean? So keep it a beautiful thing. Like if that's the case, then don't fuck somebody who you scared to have a baby with. I mean, that's advice for me too. Because I'm definitely guilty of sleeping with a woman that I know for damn sure I wouldn't want to have a kid with. But a lot of
Hmm.
time we play roulette with our dick, so you know,
Well, thankfully, we made it thus far.
made it this far. You know.
I
Shout
made
out,
it.
shout
I
out
made
to the inventor of condoms.
it. Hey,
Right. Alexa, who invented condoms?
Jesus.
Julius Fromm invented the process that allowed for the mass production of modern rubber condoms in 1916. Did that answer your question?
Yep. So
1916.
shout out to
So
Thanks for
Julius.
your feedback.
everybody here is old enough to have been around
Right.
1916.
Yeah.
So,
So y'all,
all
this has been another interesting episode of
right.
the
Very.
Crossroads.
Mhm.
Our first live official episode. So y'all, thank y'all for who watched this live. And y'all catch this episode this Thursday. You can catch us on YouTube and you can catch us on your favorite podcast platforms. We're on all of them. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on Amazon. We're on what else we on? Yeah,
Pandora
Pandora.
and yeah, you said Amazon already.
Yeah,
Stitcher, yeah,
right.
everywhere. Google Music or whatever the Google
Yeah,
Podcast.
yeah. And to my brother, yes, I just asked Alexa a
Yeah,
question on the show.
and this is the second question
The
he's
second
asked her
question,
on the
she
show.
listen, she's been a guest today. So shout out to our guest, Alexa,
Absolutely.
today. She lightened up. I'm not talking to you, Alexa.
She like
Thanks
you
for
said my
telling
name.
me.
Right. You guys don't be saying my name then. So y'all, we love y'all. Make sure you tune in this Thursday, 12 a.m. Pacific time, every Thursday. And as always, in parting, remember,
Be
be
free
free
to
to be
be
you.
you. We'll
See
see
y'all
y'all
next
next
week.
time.
Bye.
Bye.